Hey everybody, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I am so happy that you're here because I am going to share my walkthrough for the third volume of my project life for 2021. I absolutely love this 6x12 size. It is so fun and manageable, and I love it. Now, this particular album I get at Hobby Lobby just because it's cheaper and easier to get than, say, Studio Calico or Ali Edwards. I also get my page protectors from Ali Edwards or scrapbook.com, and I usually have to punch the holes in the page protectors, but that's a minor problem just so I can have the cheaper album. So it all balances out. All right, and this album covers, maybe I already said it, but it covers August through December. So I love opening pages and ending pages, and this starts right on August, and I use Studio Calico. Our library had just reopened after a remodel and being closed because of the world being upside down, so it was really exciting to be back at our local library. This next spread uses the Delights story kit. I love using story kits to document different stories. The only thing I didn't plan so well is that there's a story underneath here, and it all has to do with my son getting some sort of crazy skin infection. Isn't that weird? That was from being in the river, and somehow he got something on his leg, like a skin infection from that cut. So that's that story, and I just focused on the blues and the greens. I felt like that matched really well for the month of August. Next up is the start of school, and I use the Teach Story Kit. Use this to talk about 3 stories during the week, and this one is some more little stories during the week. Also use some labels as well. This whole spread is talking about going back to school officially 5 days a week, full time. Very exciting. And then some more photos, and 2 years ago and then now. Next up is the Good Story Kit. And I use the Starburst to kind of cut in half and use as embellishments. My daughter had her birthday this week, so I have a little insert. And then I took these photos out to keep them private, but this is the rest of the week, and my daughter with Oma because her birthday is in August as well. Finishing up the month with a Stories by the Month kit layout, using a lot of different digital pieces and taking the card digitally and then cutting out those circles with my Cameo. This is the end page for August, and I decided to use Studio Calico and pull out the yellows and pinks. Used a 3x4 photo here and also a card to talk about some highlights at the end of the month. Kicking off September with coordinating colors, but this spread, instead of using pink, uses green. And I had some color cast design pieces to add in. Glad to get those used and find a home for them. So the next spread uses Stories by the Month, September. I love this really soft color scheme to kind of introduce the fall months. An insert for an adventure we took at the beginning of September down to an arboretum. Used Stories by the Month and also a few different story kit stamps. And on the back is some more photos and the journaling. I love this photo where my son just did not want a photo at all, which is fine. He doesn't have to take a photo, but I thought it would be funny if I copied him. So that is one of my favorite photos. Next up is this week. The grass was so dead. We were trying to water it during our scheduled days to water, but it was pretty pointless at this point in the summer. It's just very dead. Some different photos of my son and talking about him, and then a little insert with my people looking at Pokemon cards. And then I had photos of my son, and so I made sure I had some extras of my daughter to talk about her. Studio Calico week, pulling out the blues and grays and greens. Loved using all these chipboard pieces and also these fun perforated strips. Another Studio Calico week, this time pulling out more warm colors like the yellows and oranges. And you can see here, this is what the spread looks like without the page protector. Really fun, pretty spread. And this is just an insert for 2 different stories. My kids loved the books Know David when they were little, and we found it on YouTube and listened to it, and we had the best time. And so I wanted to write down that story. And then my daughter did a baking project all by herself, so I had to include some photos of that and the story of that. This next one right here, you can see a little peek of it, was in a big picture class for stamping in your pocket pages. That's why I'm not going to show you that one, because that is in the class. But I had a lot of fun doing lots of stamping techniques for that spread. This is the end of September. I had decorated for Halloween and a funny photo of my son, I think, doing homework. So I just decided to pull out the reds and use my Studio Calico stamps and also punch out some shapes from a journaling card. This card didn't turn out exactly how I wanted, but that's okay. The point was to finish the album, so I did finish the album, so that was what was important to me. I made this card with stamps and punch shapes so that way I could keep the same type of design piece to it and the consistency. October, we have lots of great pictures. I did a little like pretend photo strip of my husband and I doing funny selfies. My kids got some special like treats for the start of October. And then on this one, it's mainly just a hike that my husband and I took. And then when I was looking back through the album and figuring out what holes were missing, I realized I'd never documented this Pioneer Day. And I think it goes on the next week, but I just decided to put it in here. So some really awesome photos of my daughter and I enjoying Pioneer Day. And then on the back is some of her with her friends. This is just a simple one about going to our favorite place to celebrate fall and kind of kick off fall, Apple Hill. And I don't know if you remember, but Allie Edwards had a class last fall. I believe it came out in September. And it was Stories of Fall. And I was one of the contributors. And I made a whole book about going to Apple Hill. So these photos and stories will be documented more in detail in that album. And so I just did 3 little blocks of journaling and called it done. Another Studio Calico one using some more stamps to stamp on the journaling card and the label down here. So really loved that. I did something a little different, at least for me, with the colors. I wanted to pull out the reds and the blues and the pinks. So I think it turned out okay. Kind of reminds me of like July colors, but I think it goes well with the spread. Next up is a really fun October spread using Stories by the Month. I love it. That font is so awesome. And then my daughter made a picture this week, and it's one of like the coolest things she's ever made for me. She even colored it, and I was able to put it in October daily. And this insert is when we went to a professional soccer game. So that was really fun. The photo here is my daughter and her friends, so I just took it out. Next up, this one, I really love the pretty colors in this one and how I made the title card with a family photo and chipboard and the mix of pieces. So lots of really great stories this week, and I have a flip for my daughter. She was really into making nature creations with sticks and bark and grass, so that was a lot of fun for her. This was another fun one from Ali Edwards because I had this card for many years. She had like, I want to say this is like a deep blue, and she had that color scheme for a while and I'd never used it. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to use it. So I did the blues and blacks, and I absolutely love it. And then you pull it out and there's like the main stories of the week. And then a few here. I just made this card by stamping. And in case you're wondering what this photo is, my daughter did not look happy in this school picture, and her brother asked me if he could see it, and I showed it to him, and then he's like, well, I'm gonna take it and do something with it. And this is what he did. He said his sister looked so mad that he should just put an inmate sign on there. So I decided to include that in the album. I also included a tab for another photo of my son building with these magnetic tiles. Then comes Halloween, and I just ran out of time to share this process video, so you might see it this October. I'll share it, but I used the Ali Edwards Halloween kit and had a lot of fun mixing in all the different pieces. This was Studio Calico end page for October. Just a quick little wrap up of the month and some stamping and stickers. This one was also very simple with 2 stamped phrases and a few chipboard, and that's it. So then we move into November. Used one main card for all the stories and this tree card, which was awesome. And then my kids smashing pumpkins. I don't know if you let your kids do this or you just do it yourself, but once we get done with the pumpkins, it's always fun to take them and like smash them. My kids love that. Took a little popcorn photo and fit it into this journaling box. This was the show that we were really loving and enjoying. This is a flip up to talk about the weekend. And I just made a flip up instead of using a little plastic flip up. Next one uses mainly this amperstamp card, and I just trimmed it to add to the top of here, and one big 4x6 card. Because I tend to not use these 4x6 cards because I usually need all the room to journal, but this particular week I have the room. So pretty simple week, but I love it. This one is Stories by the Month 2022 kit because it had all these beautiful die cut leaves, and I had so much fun making this spread. It was so much fun. And then this flips up because I wound up with several photos of my son carrying backpacks and the kids at school, so I decided to include that. And then funny story, as I was making this, there was a beautiful like leaf picture which also inspired the use of these leaves. But I went to go put this project away and the leaf picture was gone. I couldn't find it on the desk. I couldn't find it anywhere. And all these photos are printed through Persnickety, so I'll have to get it reprinted through Persnickety. And this is a really amazing story down here of my son teaching his Oma how to take a selfie. And when she figured it out, she sent me the selfie, and I love it because my son sent her this saying, hey, we're on our way to your house, and she didn't know how to send a selfie back. So such a special story. And that's the first selfie that my kids took. This was like the week leading up to Thanksgiving, so it was kind of a slow week for pictures. So I focused on like a neighborhood walk and backyard time and reading. Love how this photo came out. And this is all Studio Calico. Thanksgiving, I always take a million photos, so no exception here. I used an old Stories by the Month card to do some bullet point list of journaling, and I used a ton of embellishments. I used Jenny's flares here and also a really fun cut file from the cut shop. And then the family photos are in a 4x6. And then you turn it and there's another insert right here because we went on a walk, and I loved my in-laws' really old can opener. Cracks me up. They also have a really old oven. And so yeah, I just had a lot of fun getting all the photos in there. finishing November with a very December looking page, but these are the photos I picked out to end November, and we were already kind of moving into December activities. So I used Studio Calico December kit, and I think it turned out really, really pretty. I love it. So moving into December, I have Stories by the Month from Ali Edwards, and I did some journaling about my son doing a soccer tournament, some little gratitudes, and then like the 3 top stories from the week. Studio Calico, this is a spread I just recently completed, but I have a funny story of my kids with gummies and what Big Brother did to little sister and my son being silly. So that was a lot of fun to put together and try to figure out. A simple page with 3x3 and a collage up here. I don't go into a lot of detail for December spreads because I have December daily. Another super simple page because, you know, again, December daily. So I just did chipboard and the vellum stars from Ali Edwards. And then just a list, kind of like a paragraph list of what went on that week. And finishing up with this page. Finishing the year with a trip to the Great Wolf Lodge, a little like indoor swim park. And I used the awesome story kit. So that is it. I know that was a really long walkthrough, but I love talking about my pages and telling you the different supplies that I used. So I hope you enjoyed listening and seeing all these pages. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.